Hello, my name is Thayane, and I like to experiment with all kinds of AI technologies. But most of all with the newest versions of Midjourney. In this video, I wanted to show you one of my latest experiments of combining regular subjects with really unusual materials. In a previous video of this series, I showcased materials related to nature and flowers. And in this video I will be looking at words that are most often associated with the animal world. The subjects are again the same: book, forest, man and skyscraper. I feel like they are a really diverse representation of different kinds of subjects. And my prompts for this experiment go like this. Subject made of material followed by seed number, then by aspect ratio, and lastly, the version 6.0. I also ran the exact same experiment with raw style, so you will see that in some of the prompts as well. All the prompts for each of the images can be seen on top of each image grid, and if you want to copy-paste them, then there is a link in the description box that will take you to a post on my website, where I have listed all of the image grids along with their respective prompts. As usual, I will give some of my observations as we look at the results, so let's go. Antlers. Starting off in alphabetical order with this one. I think the default style has generated some interesting images. The combination has some struggles here and there, but there are images where the subject looks like it was made of antlers. Raw style doesn't seem to improve the books, and we see some of the arches in the forest images that some of the nature-related materials tended to do. There is a couple really artistic-looking images for the man. The antlers look to be a really nice concept for skyscrapers. Butterfly wings. I like the vivid colors this brings. Mostly we seem to get a bunch of butterflies covering the subjects. The lower right or fourth image in the book grid looks to be really good though. The pages of the book really look like they are butterfly wings. There is a similar book in the raw style grid as well. The man images look weird, but cool, almost like what one would imagine when combining the concepts. Coral. If you didn't know already, corals are considered to be animals, so that's why I have included them in this particular video. The books and men look really intricate and colorful, but again, they are just covered by coral. The forests and skyscrapers are looking very interesting though, and in my opinion, look like they could be made of coral. Raw style is similar. This really seems to be the case whenever the default style also prefers to look photorealistic. We do get some variations though. The top left or first image in the man grid does look like it is made of coral in the shape of a man. Dragon scales. Well, a dragon is not exactly an animal, but a fantasy creature. Yet, if dragons were real, they would be considered animals. There is some interesting stuff here. For example, I really like some of the forest images. Raw style is yet again similar, but different. I think I liked the default style more in the big picture, but the skyscrapers of the raw style look so awesome to me. Eggshells. Really interesting material that none of the subjects are normally made of. But you never know, maybe someone out there in the world is actually using this as a material for sculptures. Midjourney does seem to recognize the look of it. And there are a few images where the subjects look like they were made out of eggshells. This time around the raw style seems to be so much better at it. We see examples of each of the subjects here that truly look like they were made of eggshells. Very weird, but in a good way. Feathers. Default style seems to prefer white feathers. Books don't really look what they were supposed to. The top two or first and second images of the forest grid actually look really nice and made out of feathers. Man images seem to be either just covered with feathers or wearing a headdress made of feathers. Raw style seems to again be better at getting the concept. Forests and skyscrapers seem to follow the prompt pretty well. Book and man are mostly still just covered in feathers. Fireflies. Bugs are animals too, and fireflies give all of the images a really nice glow. but mostly I think the fireflies are just floating around the subjects. Although some of the man images look pretty cool. Same tendency for the raw style. We do see some of the man images that almost look like they could be made of fireflies. Books seem to have some pretty Christmas lights stacked in the middle of the book. Fish scales. One would think that these would look really similar to dragon scales, as both are scales, but they seem surprisingly different to me. I don't know if I would say that these subjects are made out of this material. The bottom left or third image in the forest grid comes pretty close, actually. I preferred the default style images slightly more. Things are still mostly just covered by the scales, except the lower right or fourth image in the man grid. That guy really looks to be made out of fish scales. Gossamer. This one is here, because I found a definition where this word means substance consisting of cobwebs spun by small spiders. This one is incorporated quite well for the man and skyscraper images. Books and forests look cool too, but I wouldn't say they look like they are actually entirely made of gossamer. Raw style actually has a few books looking like made out of gossamer. But for the rest of the images, I think I preferred the default style more, because the images were prettier. Hair. I classified this one in this video, because humans are essentially animals too, and lots of animals also have hair growing all over. This looks really weird though. Forests really look like all of the images were made of hair. Raw style is similar, but I think the forest images looked better with default style. The lower left or third image in the man grid looks to be made out of hair entirely. It's weird, but fascinating. Honeycomb. Really interesting looking as a material for regular things. And it seems to be applying pretty well for most of the subjects. The hexagon shape is really recognizable. And raw style combines this as a material really well too. It looks fascinating in combination with the skyscrapers. Peacock feathers. We had feathers, but peacock feathers are totally different. This seems again very difficult to combine with the subjects I have selected for this video. There is hardly any images where I could actually say that something is entirely made out of peacock feathers. Raw style doesn't seem to be doing much better either. A lot of weirdness, but not exactly what I had in mind. They are colorful though. Seashells. I feel like this has produced an interesting look for the images. For most of the images, I wouldn't say they look like they were made of seashells though, simply just covered by them. And yet again, very similar look for raw images as well. We can see some of the arches in the forest images again. I also really like the look of the top right or second image in the skyscraper grid. Spider silk. This one is similar to gossamer, but yet it looks very different. The webbed look is more apparent. Gossamer was simply just finer. But the man images have turned out pretty well in my opinion. I liked the default style more again. Although some of the skyscraper images here look very cool as well, and we seem to have gotten an accidental Spider-Man as well. I guess spiders and Spider-Man go hand in hand very often. Wool. All of the subjects seem to have produced at least one image where it really does look like the subject was made out of wool. The forest images look really cool. And the lower left or third image in the man grid is simply hilarious. Slightly different images for the raw style. And again the same case that there do seem to be one or more images in each grid where the subject is made out of wool. And that concludes the overview of animal-related materials when applied to subjects that are not normally made out of those materials. I hope you found some interesting stuff you would like to try out yourself. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this experiment. I shall be continuing this series in my next few videos as well, with totally different materials. And I also might be slightly out of the loop if there are any updates to Midjourney, as I will be traveling for a few weeks. But this series will continue as I release the videos on a schedule. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to follow me as I try out all kinds of things in Midjourney to see what works and what doesn't. I am really having fun, and I hope that you are too if you are also interested in generative AI. So let's continue prompting.